Chapter 13, Justice and Malice. There was no preamble. There was no sparring. The moment the white tiger, Justice, landed, his claws were plunged deep into Qiongqi's, Malice, shoulder. And Qiongqi, instead of roaring in pain, laughed. A hoarse, sick laugh. "By who?" he hissed, his grotesque leathery wings flapping hard, attempting to shake the general off. "At last. The hypocritical judge. The one who cast me into the fringes. The betrayer," the white tiger roared back. His voice was emotionless. It was the voice of a death sentence. "You were a sacred beast of order. You fell. You chose chaos. Your sentence is death." "Fell." Qiongqi shrieked, breaking free of the white tiger's claws, retreating, leaving a deep wound oozing the black fluid of turbid qi. And here, O listener, is when we must dive into the psychology of the fight. This was not a battle of creation, like the Azure Dragon. This was a battle between two killers. The white tiger is the embodiment of metal. He is rigidity, precision, uncompromising judgment. Every move he makes has purpose. Every pounce aims for a vital point. He is a perfect killing machine of order. Qiongqi is also a killing machine. But he is a machine of chaos. He is the outcast, amplified by malice. He does not fight to win. He fights to inflict pain. The battle erupted. Qiongqi flapped his wings, soaring high. He used his advantage, chaos in the air. He did not attack directly. He circled the white tiger, his poisonous claws raking the air, creating blasts of turbid qi wind, trying to disorient the white tiger. "Look at yourself," he sneered from above. "You stand there, cold, judging me. But you are a killer too. Your claws are stained with blood. How are you different from me?" The white tiger did not answer. He stood motionless. His metallic white body was steady as a mountain of steel. He is autumn. He is the stillness before the storm. He ignored the streams of turbid qi. He only observed. He is the general, and he was analyzing the trajectory of his foe. "Answer me, hypocrite!" Qiongqi roared, losing patience. He dove down, a gray blur, aiming straight for the back of the white tiger's neck. And in that moment, the white tiger acted. He did not dodge. He spun. A perfect rotation, precise to the millimeter, calculated over thousands of years. Qiongqi, in his frenzy, was overconfident. He flew straight into the waiting claws. Slash! The white tiger did not just rake. He grasped one of Qiongqi's wings. "You ask me how I differ from you," the white tiger roared, his voice carrying supreme contempt for the first time. "I kill for duty," he thundered, and tightened his grip. "You kill for pleasure. I am justice. You are merely a sickness." "No!" Qiongqi shrieked, trying to use his other wing and claws to tear at the white tiger. But the white tiger's metal body was too rigid. "And sickness," the white tiger concluded, his silver eyes turning cold, "must be excised." Crack! With a savage, definitive yank of the general, the white tiger tore off one of Qiongqi's wings. It was not a wound. It was a crippling. "Aya!" For the first time, Qiongqi stopped laughing. His scream was pure pain and horror. He, the outcast, had lost his weapon of chaos. He tumbled to the ground. He was no longer a winged tiger. He was a crippled tiger. He looked up at the white tiger, his eyes no longer holding malice, only fear. He had lost. The white tiger raised his claw, preparing the finishing strike, to execute the sentence. But, roar! A world-shattering roar came from another direction. The roar of Taowu, the stagnant one. The white tiger turned. He saw a scene of chaos. He saw the Vermilion Bird, though fighting Taowu, struggling. And he saw the Azure Dragon, the king, being driven to desperation by Taotie. The general faced a tragic choice. A choice of order. He could finish Qiongqi, execute the sentence, fulfill his personal justice. Or, he could save his king, protect the greater order. The white tiger for a second looked down at the trembling Qiongqi. Then he looked toward the Azure Dragon. There was no hesitation. Duty always prevails. He turned his back on Qiongqi, his arch-nemesis. He spared him. "Flee!" he roared, a final roar of judgment. "Run back to your stinking fringes. And if I see you in the sanctum again, I will tear off the other wing." Qiongqi, stunned by his reprieve, did not need a second hearing. He dragged his mutilated body, frantically rushing toward the fissure, vanishing into the darkness. One fierce beast was defeated. And the white tiger, the general of autumn, wasted no second. He roared, a metallic sound, and charged toward Taotie. He would aid his king. We have seen the white tiger, justice, prevail. He tore off Qiongqi's malice wing, but in an act of supreme order, he spared the outcast to return to save his king. One fierce beast has been eliminated from the fight. The universe in that moment had only two fronts remaining. At the central front, the Azure Dragon, creation, was overwhelmed by Taotie, hunger. And at the second front, the High Priestess of Hope was facing the obstinate one. Our epic continues. Chapter 14, Fire and Immutable Stone. While the white tiger was executing justice, the Vermilion Bird had plunged into the battlefield. She was a comet of hope, and she used her body, using a wall of purifying fire, to block the obstinate one. Now, the two antitheses faced each other. She, the embodiment of fire, of summer, of transformation and rebirth. He, the embodiment of stone, of stagnation, of obstinacy and immutability. This was a battle of the future, Vermilion Bird, against the past, Taowu. Change is the enemy. Taowu roared. He, the elder god of stone, the exiled fanatic, hated this fire more than anything. The Vermilion Bird's flame was what scorched him, contributing to his downfall. He had no strategy. He had no intellect like Qiongqi. He had only one command, amplified by chaos: charge. His colossal body of stone and turbid qi, heavy as a mountain, lunged straight at the Vermilion Bird, intending to extinguish the fire of hope with brute force. The Vermilion Bird did not dodge. She is the protector. She opened her mouth, and her song was no longer melodious. It was a command. Purify. A pillar of white-blue fire, the hottest flame of summer, the fire of rebirth, shot directly at Taowu. Hiss. A horrifying sight occurred. Fire met stone. Taowu's outer layer of turbid qi vaporized. The stone beneath melted, glowing red. He roared. A roar of anger, but not of pain. And he did not stop. Oh listener, we must dive deep into this tragedy. Why? The Vermilion Bird's fire consumes matter, consumes turbid qi. But Taowu is not just stone, not just turbid qi. He is the embodiment of obstinacy. His soul is a block of absolute stagnation. He refuses to be transformed. His will defied physics. The Vermilion Bird's fire could melt his body, but it could not melt his stubborn will. He, blazing like a meteor, continued to charge, slamming straight at the priestess. The Vermilion Bird, surprised by this absurdity, was forced to soar up, evading the charge. Taowu slammed into empty space, but his power shook the very cosmos. He turned, his scorched skin already beginning to cool. He charged again. The Vermilion Bird realized. She was in a worse position than the Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon fed his enemy. But the Vermilion Bird could not destroy her enemy. She could burn him for 1,000 years, but his will to stagnation would never be extinguished. He was a stupid, stubborn wall, who would never retreat. She could wound him, but she could not win. She, the High Priestess of Hope, was neutralized by the obstinate one. And then, she heard it. The roar of triumph from the white tiger. She saw Qiongqi, broken, flee. But she also saw the Azure Dragon, the king, being driven to despair by Taotie. She saw the white tiger charging to aid him. And the Vermilion Bird, in a moment of summer wisdom, understood her role. She was not a warrior like the white tiger. She was not a creator machine like the Azure Dragon. She is hope. She is rebirth. She looked at Taowu, the enemy who could not be defeated by force. He was a wall. Very well, her song rang out, this time no longer blazing, but becoming clear. If you are a wall, I will not break you. I will bypass you. She stopped fighting Taowu. Taowu charged again, roaring. This time, the Vermilion Bird did not spit fire. She soared high, higher than all, higher than the Azure Dragon and White Tiger. She spread her blazing wings. She became a second sun over the battlefield. And she sang. Not a song of attack, but the song of rebirth. It was a cosmic frequency of order. A stream of primal fire energy, but not to burn, but to nourish. Taowu, in his stupidity, roared. He did not understand. He only saw the target high above. He began to jump, trying to smash the sun. He was utterly ignored. But that song had a purpose. It was not aimed at Taowu. It was aimed at the Azure Dragon. The King of Spring, who had been exhausted from continuously having his creation energy drained by Taotie, suddenly felt a warmth. The fire of summer was fueling spring. The Vermilion Bird's song of rebirth was regenerating the Azure Dragon's creation energy. His scales, which had dimmed, blazed bright blue again. His lightning roar, which had been weak, thundered fiercely. The Vermilion Bird, the High Priestess, had done what a general could not. She supported her ally. She had neutralized Taowu by using his own stubbornness to keep him pinned, and simultaneously she had amplified her king. Now, the situation was completely reversed. Taowu was contained. Qiongqi had fled. Hundun was imprisoned by Xian Wu. Only one fierce beast remained. Taotie. And he no longer faced one exhausted king. He faced the Azure Dragon, the fully recovered king of spring. The White Tiger, the cold and lethal general of autumn. The 1-against-1 battle was now 2 against 1. The tide of the battle has completely reversed. Qiongqi, malice, was defeated by the White Tiger, justice, and fled. Taowu, stagnation, was neutralized by the Vermilion Bird, hope, whose song not only contained him but also healed her ally. Now, Act 3 reaches its climax. The final front. Taotie, hunger, the destroyer of creation, has no more prey to pursue. It roars in anger. Because it is surrounded. 2 of the greatest 4 symbols. The king and the general. The Azure Dragon and the White Tiger. Our epic continues. Chapter 15. The Satiation of Chaos. More food. Taotie's great mouth roared, without a trace of fear. It did not understand, surrounded. It only understood that the feast had just become richer. The spring prey, Azure Dragon, it was chasing, now had an autumn dish, White Tiger, added. It did not retreat. It opened its black hole mouth, a vortex of turbid chi began to spiral, ready to swallow both. The White Tiger, the general of autumn, did not wait. He is metal. He is execution. For order. He roared, a streak of silvery white comet. He charged even before the Azure Dragon. His claws of justice, the same ones that tore Qiongqi's wing, delivered a savage strike, straight into Taotie's essence. And the tragedy struck. Splat. There was no clash of metal. There was no blood. The White Tiger's claws, sharper than justice itself, had stabbed into empty space. Taotie was not a body. It was a mouth. It was a concept. The black hole simply swallowed the attack. The White Tiger's great metal energy, order's strongest physical attack, was absorbed. Ha! Taotie roared in satisfaction. The White Tiger, stunned for a second, tried to pull his claws out. But it was too late. The hunger was sucking him in. Do not touch him, the Azure Dragon roared. He had seen this. He had experienced this. But Taotie had gotten what it wanted. It had tasted the white tiger's energy, and it counterattacked. From its black hole mouth, Taotie spat back. Not claws, but a rain of thousands of chaos-corrupted metal shards, the white tiger's own energy, now tainted by turbid qi. A sharp, dark storm shot toward the two sacred beasts. Wood shield! The Azure Dragon roared. The Spring King, freshly healed by the Vermilion Bird, created an arch of divine wood, blocking the dark metal storm. The two sacred beasts retreated, standing side by side. They were breathing hard. They were in a stalemate. Oh listener, we must dive into this tactical tragedy. The Azure Dragon, creation, could not attack, for anything he created, wood, thunder. Taotie would eat. He was feeding the enemy. The white tiger, judgment, could not attack, for any physical strike, metal. Taotie would absorb. He was arming the enemy. They could do nothing. Eternal hunger was unbeatable. Ha ha ha. Taotie's roar echoed. This universe is mine. Order is merely seasoning for my meal. It opened its mouth again, preparing for the final swallow, to pull both sacred beasts in. And in that moment, as order was about to be consumed, the Azure Dragon and the white tiger, the king and the general, spring and autumn, creation and judgment, they looked at each other, and they, for the first time, simultaneously understood. How do you defeat eternal hunger? How do you destroy a black hole that only knows how to take? The answer was tragic. You cannot fill a bottomless hole. You cannot destroy a bottomless hole. But you can feed it something it cannot digest. Something that the cosmos itself cannot digest. By who? The Azure Dragon roared, a great will flaring in his eyes. Are you ready? The white tiger did not answer. He only roared, a sound filled with killing intent. He understood. They would execute the most blasphemous attack. They would break the very rules of order, to save order. Oh hungry one! The Azure Dragon roared, catching Taotie's attention. Do you wish to eat creation? I will give it to you. The Azure Dragon extended his claw. He summoned the full power of his spring energy. A bright, azure orb, containing the essence of life, of the beginning. And do you wish to eat judgment? The white tiger roared. The general also extended his claw. He summoned the full power of his autumn energy. A cold, metallic white orb, containing the essence of death, of the ending. Taotie shrieked with glee. The two most delicious courses. And then, the Azure Dragon and the white tiger did not hurl them at Taotie. They smashed the two orbs into each other. Oh listener, it was an act of absurdity. Life and death, spring and autumn, creation and destruction. They are two opposites. They are never meant to touch. But they did. A new energy orb was born. It was neither blue nor white. It was both black and bright. It was being born and dying in the same instant. It was the paradox. It was the cycle of the great Tao itself, compressed into a weapon. It was the Ouroboros. Try swallowing this. The two sacred beasts roared together, and they hurled the paradox orb straight into Taotie's wide-open mouth. Taotie, in its infinite greed, did not stop to think. It saw energy, and it swallowed. It swallowed the paradox. A second of silence. Taotie froze. Its hunger froze. And then, its tragedy struck. Its chaotic stomach tried to digest the orb. It tried to destroy the life part, but the death part was already there. It tried to absorb the death part, but the life part continuously reborn. Inside Taotie, a universe was eating itself. Its body, the embodiment of only take, could not process a concept of perfect cycle. Gararu! A roar erupted. But this time, it was not the roar of hunger. It was the roar of confusion and philosophical pain. Its black hole body began to destabilize. It did not explode outwards. It exploded inwards. It could not digest. It could not spit out. Eternal hunger, for the first time, was full. It was full of absurdity. Its physical form disintegrated. The chaos lost its form. The great mouth was torn apart from within, and the chaos reverted to chaos. The greatest fierce beast, Taotie, was defeated by its own greed. Its physical form dissolved, and its chaotic soul, severely weakened, was sucked back into the fringes by the fissure, which was still open. A victory was absolute. Taotie, hunger, the unbeatable fierce beast, was defeated by the Azure Dragon, creation, and the white tiger, judgment, using a cosmic paradox. Its soul has been exiled back to the fringes. The great war seemed to be over. But, on the battlefield, there was still a sound. A stupid, persistent, repetitive stomping. Taowu, the stagnant one. He, the obstinate one, was so engrossed in his own fight that he was completely unaware that his three companions had failed. He was still charging the illusion of the Vermilion Bird, Hope, who had flown high to support the Azure Dragon. Now, Act 3 comes to its conclusion. Our epic continues. Chapter 16. Finale: The Consequences of Order. A great silence fell over the battlefield. The Azure Dragon, the King of Spring, and the White Tiger, the General of Autumn, stood exhausted but victorious. Taotie was exiled. Qiongqi had fled, crippled. They looked up. The Vermilion Bird, the priestess of summer, still shone like a sun, her song no longer one of aid, but of triumph. And beneath her, Taowu, the obstinate one, was still roaring, stubbornly charging the empty air, charging the phantom flame, completely unaware that he had been left alone. He is stagnation, and he was too late to realize defeat. The Azure Dragon and the White Tiger looked at each other. Not a look of tactical review, but a look of weariness. They were too exhausted for this stupidity. Enough. Not one, but two roars erupted simultaneously. The thunder roar of spring and the metallic roar of autumn. Taowu froze. He turned his stone head, and he saw them. The king and the general. Now, he no longer faced a fire of transformation that he hated. He faced creation and judgment. A normal creature would flee. But Taowu is the embodiment of obstinacy. He roared. He only saw more enemies. He lowered his head, preparing for the final charge. But order did not grant him the chance. "O priestess," the Azure Dragon roared, "use your fire, not to burn, but to melt." The Vermilion Bird understood. Her song changed. The fire of rebirth, instead of attacking, now converged, turning into a cosmic forge. The hottest flame enveloped Taowu. Taowu roared. He is immutable stone. He hated this transformation. "O General," the Azure Dragon commanded, "use your metal, not to strike, but to break." The White Tiger charged. He did not attack the skin. He used the claws of justice, plunging them deep into the rock's joints, which were being softened by the Vermilion Bird's fire. And now, the Azure Dragon roared. "O life!" The Spring King charged. He did not use lightning. He used wood. Thousands of threads of divine wood roots, growing from the void, coiled around Taowu's melting and breaking body. O listener, it was a perfect combination. The Vermilion Bird, fire, softened his obstinacy. The White Tiger, metal, broke his immutability. The Azure Dragon, wood, bound his stagnation. The three sacred beasts, together, completely neutralized the final fierce beast. "You are the obstinate one," the Azure Dragon roared, tightening the wood bindings. "Now, be immutably still, in our prison." The three sacred beasts roared together, and they hurled Taowu's soul, completely defeated, back toward the fissure. Whoosh! The last fierce beast was exiled. The battlefield fell silent. Act 3 has ended. The Great War has ended. The Azure Dragon, White Tiger, and Vermilion Bird stood there, amidst the ravaged sanctum. Where once there were brilliant nebulae, Now there were only scars. They had won. But, oh listener, this is the consequence of order. They turned toward the north. They looked toward the black tortoise. And they sensed the silence. Not the silence of wisdom, but the silence of a prison. They felt their brother. He was still there, but he was no longer with them. He had sacrificed himself, becoming the eternal wall confining Hundun. The cycle of the four symbols was broken. Winter was forever isolated. Order had won, but the price was the loss of one of its four pillars. The three sacred beasts looked at each other. They did not celebrate. And then, they looked toward the fissure. The whole Qiongqi had created. It was not closing. The turbid qi was still leaking in, faintly, but persistently. The Azure Dragon, the king, understood. This battle was only the first battle. The war would be eternal. The age of perfect harmony was over. The age of eternal vigilance had begun. From now on, the Azure Dragon roared, a new command to the universe. We are not just symbols. We are the sentinels. He, the king of spring, would guard the fissure in the east. The Vermilion Bird, the priestess of summer, would use her fire to guard the south. The white tiger, the general of autumn, would use his metal to guard the west. And the black tortoise would forever be the sentinel of the north. The four sacred beasts had formally accepted their fate. Not as passive rulers, but as eternal soldiers on the fortress wall of the cosmos. Chaos was repelled. But it had left a scar, and it had taught order what loss meant.